Hello. So, those of you who do not know, my name is Aurora Dimitri. I'm a self-published author, and these are physical copies of all of my books. So I've done a couple of videos about these as they come. I've done a couple videos about my books as they've been coming out. Not all of them, because I kind of fell off the wagon when it came to making videos, and all the stuff I'm posting was filmed and edited years ago. But I did want to talk about all of my books. I believe there are 23 of them. And kind of talk to you about them, see which ones you might want to read, because I'm proud of a lot of these, obviously, or I wouldn't have published them. So first up, we're going to go with series by series. I'm going to talk about Aughts Boys. So there are currently 4 books out in this series. As of right now, I have first drafts written of, let me grab my work here, 12. So I have other plans in my head for other ones, but there are going to be at least 12 of these. This series is a little bit unique because it does not have to be read in order, and you honestly don't need to read all of them. All you have to do, you don't have to do anything. It's just whichever ones sound interesting. Basically what these series do is they take these kids in the early 2000s, and it basically is the most important year or time of their life. So the first book takes place in The first book takes place in 2004, 2005 school year, and it follows Zeke Williams. This is One More Sad Song. This follows Zeke Williams, and he is very much with Zeke. I ended up making him just every whiny pop punk song from the early 2000s just mixed into one little misanthrope. He only likes skateboarding, he hates his dad, and then also he's in love with his best friend Kevin. So this follows him trying to deal with all of that. He has like this jackass older brother, again, because the early 2000s stuff. He ends up becoming pretty close with the cute hockey forward Ashton Morin, who does have a book later on. And overall, he's just so awkward and dumb. I think the word dude is said like over 200 times in this book. I believe I should really have prices up. So the Kindle is 99 cents, and the paperback is $15. So I do have Kindle is going to be as low as I can make it, and right now it's 99 cents. This cover is done by Paris St. Mercury. He did the first 3 covers and then he ghosted me, so I have a different cover art for the third one, but I tried to have her do something kind of similar. The second book in this series takes a hard right into YA Slasherville, and that is The Horror at Camp New Woods. So this takes place in June of 2004, so it takes place a couple months before One More Sad Song does. And the only real connection you can see right off the bat is that Matt's there, and Matt is kind of a major minor character in One More Sad Song, but this follows Elliot Roth as he goes to summer camp, and then people start dying, and he is just the best final boy. It's super fun. It's a novella. It's very short. Again, the Kindle is 99 cents, and the paperback currently is $5.15. Normally I have it listed at $7.50, so I don't know if, it's probably not going to be $5.15 when I post this. So normally it's $7.50. The third book, we go out of horror again, but we are also still not yet back in the small town Ohio that One More Sad Song is set in. Third one is Right or Wrong. And this one takes place in 2003 is when it starts, almost a full year before the first book. And this follows this kid, Luke, and his older brother is in the Middle East after 9/11. He is going to sophomore year in Monticello, Minnesota, and he starts to become friends with this jerk named Matt Klein. So Matt is kind of a running theme here. Sometimes when it comes to books in this series, like this one and Horror at Camp New Woods, it's like they weren't an Aughts Boys book until I realized that Matt was showing up, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's an Aughts Boys book now. But then Matt ends up bullying a kid to suicide, and Luke has to kind of juggle in his head the guy who was kind of his friend with the guy who just bullied a kid to suicide. And it's very fun. I enjoy the Monticello kids. We don't see them as much as the Ohio kids. Again, the Kindle is 99 cents, and the paperback if I can find the paperback here. Is $13. So then the fourth book, and this is actually the most recent book that I have published, and it has a rating. What the hell? It's insane. Anyway, the fourth book, this is actually the most recent book I published it back in December, is Hit or Miss. This is the one that I didn't have. My other cover artist, Taryn Mitlighter, did this one, and I had her look at the other covers and was like, that's kind of what we're going for. But this actually takes place a year after One More Sad Song, and it follows Ashton Moran, who was a major minor character in One More Sad Song, and it is him trying to get over Zeke. It is him trying to lead his hockey team to stay. This one has a lot of hockey stuff going on, and it is him trying to figure out how to, like, come out and how to be okay with that and how to be okay with himself. And I had a lot of fun with this one. I have a lot of warm feelings in my heart for this one. I really like the cover. I really enjoy this one. I like the side characters that are introduced to this one. We see a lot. I mean, there's the hockey team and stuff like that we see a lot of, and it's very fun. And so that is the Otz Boys series. Then we've got, and I'm counting one of these, even though they're not technically part of the series, The Pentology of Hell. So this is a 5-book series plus one like companion novel that you don't really have to read if you don't want to. Okay, so we start off with the first book in the series, which is Iscariot, and this is an actual series, so you have to read them in order. Basically, the whole concept of this series is that these 3 kids end up falling into hell, and they try to get out, and when they're there, they do meet up with this witch who is trying to take over hell, and that's kind of the whole concept, is that they're trying to take over hell because it's shitty. Because I had a lot of fun with the world building on this one. I wrote the first draft of this when I was like 14 years old, and it has been rewritten several times, but it is very much kind of a time capsule of how 14-year-old Aurora was terrified of death. So this is like my ideal situation here. It has a lot of fun like demon stuff, so we get like witches and werewolves and vampires and all that fun stuff. The first book is Iscariot. It's not as biblical as the titles may seem, so we got Iscariot. The second book is 40 Days, which deals with the apocalypse. The third book is Lake of Fire, and they're back in hell. The fourth book is The False Prophet, and the fifth book is Son of Perdition. The main character in these books is Sam Jude, who is the son of the devil, who is just annoyed at everything. There is a companion novel, it's called Buyer, which follows the life and death of this one kid that we do meet in The Pentology of Hell. And his terrible, terrible life. This is me playing around with the idea of writing oral history. I'm not sure how it went, so you can tell me. Like, I'm not so sure about it. Then I only write series, if you could tell. No, I do write other things. But we got The Abnormal Murders. I call it In My Heart and Soul. I call it the Stupid Ass Murder series. It currently has 2 books out. I'm planning on having 4. I do plan on having other companion novels and novellas for Pentology, but the main series is over. There will be 4 total. The first book is Serial Killers with Cookies. I got this cover for free because a girl wanted to bump up her portfolio by, I believe, Zara Kaiser. And this story follows this girl, Justine, and her parents and her brother are brutally murdered by these serial killers with cookies. And she tries to like kind of forget about it and just live a normal life, but then they kidnap somebody. The serial killers do kidnap somebody, and she has to go after them. And then she gets a big taste for vigilante justice, which we see more of in the sequel, The Morph Suit Murderer, where a murderer shows up in her town wearing a morph suit. They're all very dumb. It's very fun. Yeah, if you like vigilante justice and girls going absolutely crazy, that's these books. And we've got my Ferrante fantasy. There are going to be 3 books total. I have 2 of them are out. I am also, in my head, there's going to be a sequel trilogy, even though fantasy just kind of hurts me a little bit. I'm just not good at it, but it's the Tinan trilogy. First 2 books are out. The first book is Circus Wings. It follows this young woman, Alessandra. She's about to be crowned like heir to the throne. And she decides that she wants to do something really great. Like she wants to do something really cool. She wants to like earn this, and she ends up running off and trying to go like free these like bird people. And obviously this is like unacceptable, and it deals with her trying to do this, deals with one of her guards trying to like catch her and drag her back. And it deals with her kind of a little love story in there with her and one of the circus girls. And then the sequel, Royal Blood, deals with kind of some more political ramifications of all this. Fantasy hurts me. I'm really bad at it. I shouldn't say that. People who have read these enjoy these. It takes a lot more than like it. These books take much longer to write than the Osboys books do. Then I've got another little horror trilogy. I haven't finished the third book yet, but the first two I do have. They're like novellas. The first one is Spawn. And the cover is a little dark. I got them done by Junella series. I both have the same cover. Same guy doing both the covers. They're very dark, but I kind of like them. But these books basically follow this heavy metal band in the 80s, and they just keep running into all this demon shit. And they're kind of humorous. I tried to make them kind of humorous. They're written in third person present tense. I have a lot of fun with the writing style. The main character, again, is a straight up idiot, and I love that. I love just idiot main characters. They're fun. They're not very popular. These are probably my least popular books. And then we get into these standalones. I do have some standalones. First up, I think this one would have made me the most money if people didn't buy the Kindle version instead of the paperback, and that's Columbiner. This is a novella following this kid who moves to a new school, and he falls into this kid who is really obsessed with Columbine killings. And I actually just reread this one, and it is like, it's a little dark. It's very dark. It's kind of concerning, actually. But it's just about him and his plans with this new kid. Then I've got a couple of short story collections. I have Rewind, which is just short stories. I understand Rewind and then like the record player like doesn't quite make sense, but they're both referencing different stories, and I probably should have like thought of that before I made the cover. But the record player references a different story than Rewind does. Got lots of fun stories in here. Break, which is about 911 dispatcher. Conga Line, which is a bunch of dead bodies. Drop, which is about an old apple tree. Growth, which is about fingernails. Heart of Stone, which is like based on 18 Alive by Skid Row. Just a Little Adoration, which is like deals with like fan culture and stuff like that. There's Something About Us, which is about driving. Fire Alarm, which is written in plural present tense, which I had a lot of fun with. Rewind, which is where the title comes from. On the Interstate, which is another driving one. Donation, Count to Three, Something Stronger Than Like, The Devil's Chasm, Old 10, another driving one. I'd write a lot of driving ones, and 3 Condoms on a Record Player. So it's a fun one. They're kind of weird stories. I enjoy putting these collections together because I do try to write short stories and essays, which I do have in the other one. I have some essays in there, and then I try to put them together because I send them to some lit mags and stuff, and I have gotten published in a few, but it's nice to have a decent collection. Then the one that does have essays in it is Life in Anachronism, which has such fun things such as Ashes to Ashes, which it takes in the same place, the same world as Circus Wings does. Postmodernism, Drifting Youth, and Charles Manson. I tried to alternate. Backroads, which is another driving one. The West Memphis 3 and Me. Blameless, Life in Anachronism, which is the title essay. Real Literature, where I based the main character off of one of my English professors. Going Back to Grunge, which is about music. I write a lot about music. Dirt, another one based off the Teen trilogy. You do actually meet one of the main character in this one in the third book, which I'm writing right now. Positive Nihilism, Stapler, another flash fic. In Defense of Fan Fiction. Here for the Slushy, which is just a cute way, kind of horror-y one. The Propagandist That Whipped Up the Revolution, which is about Camille Desmoulins, who is the love of my life. We All Suck. Character-focused, When to Call the Cops. Stop and Stop, which is a cheesy attempt at surrealist horror. That's what I put down there, because whenever I do this, I have a little like commentary, but underneath the title. Who Let Axel Look Like That, which is about Guns N' Roses. Bring a Friend, which is also very young adult and cutesy. Dream of Californication, which is about the idealized view that people who grow up in the Midwest have of California. Goosebumps Under Skinny Jeans. Hot, Bloody, and Fist Roll, William Butler Yeats' The Second Coming, and Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which that would have been a great one to end off the thing, but I did end off on another short story, which is It's All in Your Head. So these are fun. I actually have a lot more success with my essays than with my stories. So they're fun. They're a fun time. And then I have a couple more standalones. I've got The Crucifixion of Craig Knox, which is really just a fictionalization of the West Memphis Three. That's what it is. That's what it is. I obviously kind of shifted stuff around to make it's not like just rehashing the entire case, but giving them different names. I did change up a lot of stuff to make it flow better as a story, but it is, some of the stuff is like fairly accurate. Like I think I used the Fogelman's speech at the end. I think I used it word for word. I'm not gonna lie. Some of it, yeah. But I'm actually very proud of this book. I do think it's one of my best books. Speaking of one of my best books, I also really enjoyed Like Hell. This came out early last year. This follows, whenever I talk about this book, I do kind of say it's about revenge, friendship, and killing your mom's boyfriend. It follows these kids when they're at 3 different ages. First when they're 13, then when they're 17, and then when they're 23. It all deals with kind of their relationship with each other and how they trust each other, and also how they want to kill one of their mom's boyfriends, and it's a fun time. And then on the complete opposite end, I do think that this is the worst book that I have ever written, Buyer's close second, but that one I feel like I give more leeway because it's kind of an interesting new way of doing things. I don't write a lot of oral histories, but this is not any sort of unique writing style or anything. It's my worst book. That's Carl and Jimmy. So Carl and Jimmy, I mean, I have a kind of like, I have a soft spot for it, obviously. I think it's fun, but it's not. I shouldn't say it's not good. I'm trying to sell these. But this is like very heavily inspired by Carl Panzram and Jimmy Benson. So if you don't know who Carl Panzram is, he's an American serial killer from the early 1900s. And at one point in his life, he ended up, when he was a teenager, he ended up meeting this other kid, Jimmy Benson, and then they just tore across North Dakota burning down churches. And so what I did was I took great inspiration from that, and I bumped it up to 1972. And so this is just them tearing through North Dakota, burning down churches. And one thing that I do like about this book, I do like how I do think I did a good job, because it's in first person, but we alternate between Carl and Jimmy. I do think I did a good job separating their voices. I mean, Carl, I did end up using quotes from Carl Panzram as inspiration, because the man was the man had a great way with words for somebody who had absolutely zero formal education. It's insane. He was so that was kind of fun to mimic. But yeah, that's it. Those are the books that I have written and published. I haven't published anything yet in 2023. I hope to rectify that soon-ish. I'm currently working on the third Tinan book, as well as the third Spawn book. Vendettic book is what the series is called. And hopefully I will finish those sooner rather than later. Last year, for most of the year, I just worked on one project at a time, and I think that's honestly like better, because I can actually just focus on something. But this year I've started adding more stuff in, so probably this year I'll work on all of them at a time, and then next year I'll switch back, because I just like changing how I do things. But yeah, next one to come out will probably be the 13 on book. But yeah, that is where we are at. Those are all the books I've written and published. I've been doing this for 3 years. Like, this is why I do self-publishing, is because I've been doing this for 3 years, and I like to be able to put books out as soon as I like finish them, obviously, but like whenever like a couple, like 6 a year. That's what I like to do. So yeah, that is where we are at. At some point, I'll just throw out another short story collection. So we'll have that this year, if nothing else. But I do hope to have other stuff as well. But yeah, that is everything. That's all I have today. I'll talk to you later, and goodbye.